Wow, wow, wow. Hello, hello, hello. Everybody hearing me? Oh my God. This is a brand new show. We're so happy to be here with you guys. You guys hearing me? You guys hearing me?
Yeah,
Loud
yeah,
and
yeah.
clear.
Okay. I thought all you only wanted to like out of it
No.
for a second. Welcome, welcome.
Good
It's
night,
so
good night, good
good.
night.
Yeah, good
Hi
night. Good night.
guys. Good night.
Yeah, my little music. I hope all you like my little music in the back. You know,
I
Yeah, I
love
was
it.
vibing before we went live. I didn't want to start us and be like this. I wanted to be like ready.
I saw Stelina. She did, and she bumping. I was like, she
I
could
was
bump
like,
any harder.
yeah, I was feeling it.
You're feeling it. Good night, guys. Good night. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the first
Good night.
ever episode of Two Cents. Yeah, we're about to give you all our 2 cents on everything across the region, across the globe, across uh, Dominica, across Trinidad, across the world, international. We're going every single place that we can go. Hi, guys. Thank you so very much for joining us. We got some folks joining us on Facebook and some folks on YouTube. I'll introduce you guys to my guests, my guest co-hosts, I like to call them, in just a bit. And but I just want to say good evening to the folks on Facebook Live. Good evening to you, Helena. I see
Hi
you,
guys.
Nisha. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you guys for joining us right here. Make sure you guys share the live once you drop in. Right? They have to share the live. Share
You
the
have
live.
to. Share
Share
So
the
the
light.
live,
folks
share the love.
Share the
Share
light.
the live, share the live. So folks can, Asa Bantan. You know Asa Bantan, I'm recalling you. You know Asa Bantan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
Asa,
Share the
share the live,
light.
share the live, share the live. Yes, you gotta tell them to share the live. But this is 2 cents, and I want to introduce you to my guest co-host who will be here with me this evening. So we have from the beautiful island of TNT, Trinity the Bone. We like to say, you know, Trinity the Bone. I have my dear sister here. She's not my biological sister, but we like to call each other
Sister from
sisters
another mother.
across the Caribbean, especially. The founder of Sister Eye Digital. She is a content marketing guru, I call her, with over 10 years of experience. She's won awards. She has her own magazine, her online magazine. She has a book. I mean, like
It's
she's
not
she's a
enough.
boss. She's a boss, right?
Trying a
I
little
want to
thing, trying
say
a little thing.
you trying a little thing, not trying a little thing. That's doing the damn thing, right?
Exactly.
So welcome, Recoya Phillips,
Thank you,
all the way
thank you,
from
thank you.
Trinidad. It's
I'm
good,
so
good.
excited to do this. You have no idea. Good night,
I'm
everyone.
I'm excited to have you on with us. I'm so excited, and of course, I gonna say my sister, and I can say that because she's from Dominica, just like myself. So I want to welcome. We call her Stellina on this show. You can call her whatever you want, but on this show we call her
Anything.
Stellina Blue, and she is. I mean, Stellina has a wide background in social work. She has a bachelor's degree. Okay, so she knows what she's talking about. So when you see you come talking about your nonsense, we can bounce back to Stellina, right?
Right.
So Stellina Blue is here with us. She is a local entrepreneur in Dominica. I mean, she has a restaurant in Tukari. If you guys have ever been to her wonderful restaurant
Love it.
out there in Tukari, she's also the owner of Bare Beauty, where she sells skincare products. She's doing the damn thing, I tell you. And the owner of by Stellina Blue. I've seen her creative work. I'm sure you guys might have seen it out there. I just want to welcome Stellina Blue. Thank you, thank you. Just let us know if you guys hearing us clearly. Everybody's hearing our audio on point. Just give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to drop your flag. Tell us where you're locked in from. Would like to know where you're tuned in from, so we can, we can shout you out a little bit. When we see our little sisters, you don't want to just say, "Oh, brothers." We expect the guys to be on too. Tonight we have like a full, like all ladies, and that's not. It wasn't intended that way. It just
No, it
happened.
was not.
It's
And
not
make
the
sure, like, put a
intention.
disclaimer out there one time.
Yes, it's not the intention to
Guys,
have this.
your turns are going to come, gentlemen. Gentlemen.
Right. But if they want to be part of the show, all they gotta do is email me and let me know, hey, I want to be part of the 2 cents crew, and we'll definitely make every effort to put you on the rasta,
For
right?
sure.
We'll put you on the rasta. So we
So,
want to get straight into it. There's a lot of stuff happening across the globe, across
Whew.
locally and internationally.
Kyle,
Let me tell you, like even today, I know Stelina Blue and I were on back and forth with each other, and she was sending me. She's sending me news stories like as a day. Like today was popping. I don't know what's up with this world, but today was popping, and I think we want to start. I feel like we need to start regional because we like a regional crew right now. We should start off with some things that are going on regionally and some things that baffles some of us and some things we might say, hey, that let's do the damn thing. For
right.
example, the Bahamian prime minister, not prime minister, but the Bahamian minister actually said, give you the option is either a rapist needs to be either castrated or
Executed.
executed.
Wait, who has the option? Who's getting the option here?
Right. Who
First of all,
says what happens? Who
who's
says
saying
what
where
happens?
this is going?
Well, I'm not even sure what is the basis by which you I don't know if you choose which one or they're just putting both of them on the table and saying, hey, we have two options and this is what the options are. We want to, I know
Castrate
in most Caribbean islands, execution is not something that is on the books anymore. Like
Yeah.
anymore.
for the most part, it's been removed. But
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about this, Stalina Blue? What do you think?
First of all, well, he did say after the due process. So of course, you have to go to court. They need to find you guilty, and then do we castrate you or are you executed? Me, I would go straight up to execution. Why? Because even if we castrate you, guess what? If you're just a lunatic, if you're just a psychopath, you can decide, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and use tools, use objects, and rape
But
anyone.
what if that person is like possibly like there are a few people in jail for like crimes that they didn't actually commit.
No, but
That
but
would
we said
be
once you're found guilty, we're going to execute you. We're not giving you chances to use any object. We're not
You brutal.
castrating you. We're executing you. And that goes for women too, because women can be classified as rapists too. Women rape as well. So can you castrate a woman? Can you?
that's another a question that's actually coming to mind. That castration is a very gender specific activity.
Exactly. And women can be
So
classified as rapists. So
I
let's
mean,
just
female castration does exist in certain parts of the world, to be fair, but it is, it isn't. So, I think it operates in a different way. Um,
It's more of a becoming. It's religiously done as a form of becoming. Although
yeah,
I find that
it's barbaric in
like
itself.
nobody will touch
Barbaric.
my nunooks. Like stay
exactly.
far from my nunooks, please and thank you. It is
My
a
thing,
barbaric act.
my thing though is that I agree with the notion of my only I guess stipulation is that it would be that the person has is who has been accused actually did it. Um,
Found
there have
guilty.
been situations, unfortunately, where people have been wrongfully accused of things that they did not commit. So I would like to hope that the due process would confirm that this person did do the act. That aside, I actually have very little, I wouldn't even say patience. I have, nothing for people who do those kind of acts.
No
So
empathy.
it's
You are
no
gone.
empathy. I'm
Empathy
like
is
nothing to
fine.
me. You don't deserve to be on this planet anymore. So I think even castration is still too much of a gift because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' dollars that are paying to keep you in jail. We still have to feed them, house them in a penitentiary somewhere. So I don't necessarily think you need to be a part of society anymore. Sorry.
Execute. Why?
I disagree with both of you. I don't know. I'm
Why,
probably
dear?
I don't
Why?
know. It's not that I feel like that person is not a bad person. Like I'm not saying that they're not a bad person. I'm not saying that they should be part of society, but I feel like there should could be a form of reform. Like I'm not for taking a life because you first of all you did not bring that life, you did not bring that person on this earth, and I don't think that you have the right to sit on a bench and strike down what they call it, a mallet, and say that
Let's
that
hang him.
person's sentenced to death. I don't think that's right. In as much as taxpayers dollars is what that goes to feed people who have committed a crime and who are serving time, I still feel like these people could be put to work to benefit society. When I say put to work behind, because I know there can be, because I know in a lot of cases, there are different activities that are enforced while people are in prison that they can
True.
contribute back to society. So I feel like they can be of meaningful contribution behind
What
bars,
The
but
thing
I
is,
put
like,
them behind bars.
I've heard of murderers. I've heard people who have committed, all kinds of acts, like, stealing money, embezzlement. Like, I've seen stories where they have come out 10, 15, 20 years after the fact and said, they have seen the errors of the ways, they've seen how they have, especially if they found God, like, the fact that they've taken a life, the fact that they've taken from someone. I've seen stories like those kind of reform success stories. So I know it's possible. I have not, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't hear that for convicted rapists. Like, I've never heard or seen anything with rapists or pedophiles. But like, I've seen the error of my ways. I can see now me taking advantage and violating someone or people on this level was the worst thing I ever could have done. So I feel like there's like there's like a sense with them. I don't, because there's something about like that level of violation and taking that I
especially let's
think,
say we're talking about a child. Like I will not even look
yeah,
at you
to me,
twice.
there's some things you can't come back from.
in as
That,
much in as much as in as much as I agree with what you guys are saying, but I still feel like there is, even if you're convicted, like you rightfully said earlier, like people have gone to jail, been convicted of crimes, and they actually did not commit the crime. Years later they're finding out, oh my god, this person did not commit the crime. I want to kind of get what the viewers and the followers are actually thinking. Drop C if you want them to be castrated, or E if you want it to be executed,
Team
or N if
executed.
you, or if
Team
you're related, if you're net neutral, you're neutral in the matter. Drop. Look at Stellina. It's like you forming
team
a
a,
execute.
coalition.
a team.
Team
A team.
execute. I'm not playing. Like you are not getting the chance to come back. No, if I execute you, the possibilities are you're going to find some sick object, you're going to invest in some sick toy, especially if you're a psychopath and no, no, it's over for you. Bye. So
Wow,
team,
someone saying E. Will you get it? I look like people are joining you on that
yeah,
bandwagon. One
we're
person
going to
is saying
execute.
E. Janice is saying remove it. The only punishment for rape is death. End of story.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Sorry, not
people
sorry.
are like, people are commenting E. Somebody else is saying E.
Yeah,
Woo!
bye.
Y'all
Are there
harsh
any
in this
C's here? Any C's
Yeah.
out there?
E. So E, C, or N. You're neutral. C for castration. R,
E.
and E for execution. Speaking of the R word, um, Stellina shared something with me today. That happened actually in Antigua. It was right where
Yes, with the
three
three of them.
three students raped a 46-year-old woman.
And the youngest, I think he was 13 or 14.
You see,
So in that situation,
that is okay. So you see, that is the thing, right?
Okay, Jael, I do not like where you are going with this. All right, Jael,
in
no.
that in that
No, 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 no,
situation,
no.
though.
No, I do not. Uh-uh.
Okay, so
Lost for words.
and no, no. What I was gonna say is, like, in the same way that there's certain charges that are applied, and sorry, not charges, and penalties that are applied, as an adult versus a child.
True.
You understand? I don't know how it works across the islands, but I know in some countries, children under a particular age cannot be tried as an adult. There's certain things, like they get sent to like a center for reform or whatever the case may be.
Juvenile
Um,
something.
yeah, or in that case, I feel as well maybe some kind of psychiatric treatment should be applied
So
as
so
well,
why
because
is
at
that?
that
Why the
age,
adult can't get psychiatric treatment? Why the child is given psychiatric treatment and the adult probably
the
could never
operative
got it as a child.
the operative word here is child. A child's brain hasn't fully developed as yet. So I'm not
They
saying
don't
it's
fully
I'm not I'm
develop
not saying
enough
I'm
to
not saying it's
do.
an excuse. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but children, especially if children are exposed to certain things as well, unfortunately sometimes they act out, and I'm using the word act out at very, I feel that's a very light word to use, but children sometimes, unfortunately, they act out things that they have been exposed to, things that they've been put through as well. Yes, there have been a lot of cases with children, child murderers as well, and depending on the case, sometimes they are I guess given the circumstances as well, sometimes they are put into a reformatory center. If they're close to the age of adulthood, then they get convicted as an adult. So in those cases, I believe that special attention should be paid attention, looked at in those cases compared to someone who's 35, 45 years old who has certain predilections that are detrimental to the rest of society.
So you're
like like
saying
like
there's
child Dharma, like the child version of Dharma, and the child version of all of these people that committed
so
all
are
of
we
these
saying
heinous.
that
Well, if you wanna talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, actually, there were a lot of stuff that said that he actually did not display a lot of things that would have given any kind of hints that he was going to be a serial killer.
That we know of, because
Right. But
sometimes
there's
people
certain
can be
signs.
protective of their children,
yeah,
right? I know of parents that has put hand in fire for their children. Oh, my child doesn't do that.
That's
Like,
all the
true.
time,
That's true.
not my
That is
child,
true.
not my child. They
until
don't think that.
until the
It was a
child
good
becomes
one.
a thing, and all of a sudden they're like, what did I do
No,
wrong?
no, like I'm not going based on what the parents said. But I know, like, they're the last person I'm talking about because we know parents are going to be biased. I'm just saying that based on, because they would have done extensive research and studies on him, and in terms of like what his childhood was like, what he would have been exposed to. They would have dealt with doctors and psychiatrists, and they would have just to interview people like throughout his life from childhood, teen, adulthood, and all of that. And collectively there was nothing really that definitively said, oh, I can connect the dots between this year or this particular incident that could have tipped me off that he could have done this. So
I
So
it,
want to
are
go
we,
it
to
so
I
really
want to I want to
depends.
are we
I want to
making
go to the
exceptions? Are we going?
well
Are we making
I want to go.
exceptions?
I want to go to the viewers.
Because
Curvel
now,
Woodman is saying. Curvel Woodman is saying. I think it should be general across the board. We have to
Including
consider
children.
the background. As an adult, you could be open to certain things. As a child, you never got help. It was protected. It was protected, and as a child, you act on it. So that's what one. But like Curvel is saying, a few folks have voted for E. Multiple folks have said E. Some folks are coming up now with C's. There are some C's joining us. Guys, make sure you share the live. Stelina, you were saying something.
I was just asking, based on the points that Ricola just shared. So now are we making exceptions? Well, based on what happened in Antigua, and now we're going back to what the parliamentary representative said. So are we making exceptions now for adults as opposed to the crime being committed?
I'm not making exceptions for adults. I'm referring specifically to children because you mentioned, that
Okay, so
there were 13-year-olds that were involved. That, to me, that is the most uncommon thing for a child
Three
to
of them, though, not one, not
three.
two,
three.
That
The
is
three of
youngest
them.
was
three,
13.
three, three. That is alarming to say the least. So that, to me, that in itself would be, if I'm not sure like if there are what criminologists exist there, but to me that would be a perfect candidate or a case for a case study and research to find like what are the things that could have led to this three come together to do such a thing.
A
True.
But no, I'm
collaboration.
making no exceptions for adults. I'm talking specifically about children. I think situations like that, because it's so uncommon, I
Right.
think sometimes in like if when it gets to the court of law, I think special attention needs to be paid, to the circumstances and determining, well,
How
what
you
should be
think and
done.
what should we
Reco-
do?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
True.
Looking back into their childhood, like what trauma were they exposed to as
True.
well, you know?
Hmm.
These investigations go a very long way, especially where a
That's
child
very
is
true.
concerned, for real. Like these investigations go deep, like we go deep
Yeah.
into the demographic of the family, background, your history, school, your environment. You do a social inquiry and you can gather so much from a social inquiry.
Mhm.
You'd be very surprised because everybody has something to say, and then the ideas and the opinions of people around you, like who do I really, base this report off of? Like,
So you're
right.
s- so so
Do I
so
take it
we're
from the
s- you,
school? Do I take it from home? Do I take it from the community? Because the child is now a part of all of these three components: home, school, community. So who
I personally think that all of them should go straight to jail. Like three of all you come together. I think it's premeditated. I think
Well,
they
more than
planned
likely.
this. They planned this. It could have been a vendetta against the woman. It could have been because they didn't really state what she was, if she was a teacher, if she was just a random person, and whatever. It just appears that these three teenagers planned this, and I feel like teenagers, they know these children know the consequences of their actions,
They
Yeah,
right?
do.
yeah.
They've gotten caught, they should all go straight to jail, and they
And
should.
Teenagers are also known, especially teen. Well, they're now like at the start of teenagehood, but it's known
Mhm.
that teenagers and like the older they get, like 14, 15, 16, they're also known like there's something with how they operate and how they function. Like their brains are still developing. I'm not using this as an excuse. I just want to put that out there. But like they just, I think
it
something with
is.
them where at that age they, yes, they know the difference between right and wrong, but I think there's something with them at that age specifically where their impulsivity, and a lot of I've read articles where psychologists say that like their levels of impulsivity is like at another level compared to like us, like where we would know the difference between right and wrong, but and we probably take a pause and be like, look at all the factors and figure out like, is this the best way to go about doing things? Whereas teenagers would be like, I know this is wrong, but I still want to do it, you
Exactly.
know.
You see,
So I,
but honest to God, like I can justify your explanation if it's like a robbery. I can
mm-hmm.
justify your explanation if it was a breaking and entering. Like you break and enter, you probably break and open
You
a
stole a
convenience
PS5.
store. Even you stole a PS5. Even a shootout,
hmm
because like you get angry, somebody makes you mad because of the. But
But
to
rape,
for over 40, like I
Yeah, no, I agree. I
it's
agree.
like I don't
Like
understand, because it's
three
not like
teenagers don't come together randomly and say, "Let's kill someone." That was obviously premeditation. That doesn't
and
right.
happen.
So for
I'm just
me,
hoping we don't hear them
you're
playing
going
the
straight to
part of
jail.
substance induced. You know, like to come with the substance induced.
Straight to jail.
Let's
Don't
go.
pass go. Don't collect $200.
So
Let's go.
you think at
Straight
their
to jail.
age that they'll already be beyond reform? Because I know you
Straight
mentioned
to jail.
reform.
They can give them their services that they can be provided while in jail, but they need to go straight to jail.
To
That's
jail.
my
Let's
opinion.
go.
Guys on
Yes,
the
no,
live, we
a
sending them
given. That
straight
is
to
a
jail
given.
or we reforming? Straight to jail. S for straight to jail, R for reform. Let us know what you guys think. I mean, the conversation continues right here because we have lots to talk about tonight. We want to. Are we staying regional or are we going international? Are we going local? Where are we going? Where are
Where
we
do we want to
going?
go? Let's ask the audience. Where do they want to go next?
Yeah, let's see what the
Where do you
audience is.
guys want to go?
I for
What do you,
international, L for local.
I for international, L for local. I'm listening in Antigua. Somebody said I'm listening. It's the first time listening from Antigua. So we're just talking about a case from
From
Antigua,
Antigua,
and
yeah.
somebody. So Diamond is saying reform for children therapy. I feel like castration and execution is extreme. We also have to consider that sometimes someone could have had a lack of judgment. I think prison time is ideal. I think execution should be preserved for serial killers and psychopaths, or persons with no empathy or remorse or no regards. People are saying L. Ashma is saying L. L local. They want local. They want local. They want local. Dominic. You want local. Dominic. And people are saying people ready for the local bits of stuff. There's been a lot of stuff going on locally in Dominica, and I know recall here we're gonna reel you in because you have two Dominicans. You kind of outnumbered tonight, right?
A
We're
little
gonna
bit, a
reel
little
you
bit, a little
in
bit, a little bit.
a little bit, and I specifically want to probably touch on what was happening, or what I guess has been trending in Dominica, or one of the situations that have been trending in Dominica as it relates to Miss Hendrika Smith, who actually was someone who went up for a pageant. She's from the community of Salisbury, and
Very
so
strong.
she,
Any good?
she very strong, right?
Very
So
strong.
she placed fourth in the Miss International Elegant Mothers pageant, and she has always been hell bent on doing this pageant, and a few interviews have happened around her. I've seen her respond. I've seen her being positive. I've also seen her being kind of like I think last night or 2 nights ago she was a bit standoffish with in an interview that was held on another platform. But I don't think we want to talk or want to touch too much on the terms of the fact that she probably was inexperienced going into a pageant, because I think that is established across the board.
The board.
Granted, I want to congratulate her on placing fourth. I think pageantry is very difficult.
Yeah.
What I think was most alarming to me is the bullying that happened where she was concerned to the point where the outgoing Miss Elegant International had to come on live on Facebook and speak about somebody that she knew nothing about. Like she didn't know Hendrika from Adam, and she just witnessed a lot of bullying that was happening online as well as on at the actual venue, because she said people were showing up and taking pictures and all of that stuff. In the case in this situation, if you saw someone being bullied online, what would you do? Would you laugh? Would you mind your business, or would you report them?
I would never laugh at someone's being trashed, essentially. Um, no, I would never do something like that. I would call it out and I would report it, especially on a space like Facebook because they have very strict guidelines on that. And to me, it sort of reminds me of like school. If you see a fellow classmate in the playground or on the field or whatever, and they're getting like shoved around by someone, like would you just stand by and watch and laugh,
Oh,
or
I'm
would you
jumping
try to?
in.
Let me tell you,
I'm
Stellina will
jumping.
tell you. We're in Dominica. Would either
I'm
jump in.
jumping in.
We're
I don't care
jumping
who's
in
your
the
mother.
fight.
I don't care who's your father. I don't care where you're from. I'm jumping in. It's me and you and them.
You see, well,
Yeah.
simple. It's the same thing. I feel like social media has I call them keyboard bantams. Like social media has made people so much braver in saying the things that they probably would not say to that person in person. Um, and to me, there's a difference between constructive criticism. If she was not prepared or whatever, that's one thing, versus just outright bullying. For what? What is that doing for you at the end of
Yes.
the day? And I'm sorry, but at what point were you competing in this competition? And could you do better?
Right.
So most of the people who do these are people who are, especially in public spaces, people who are going up for things, people are putting themselves out there,
And they
and
would not
at
even
the
actually do it. A
mercy.
lot of them would
That's
not even
that's it.
actually do it, or have never even participated in a
Exactly.
pageant or anything. From probably from your perspective, Stelina Blue, what do you think? Because
Um,
you probably had a little chuckle.
not to put my hand in fire for anybody, but bullying, the definition of bullying can go across margins. Some people
Mhm.
may have, been making comments, statements, and not knowing that it's actually bullying.
Bully.
So that's why I would say innocently. So for example, I might say, oh, that's how your hair is done for that show. I think I can recommend another stylist. That's constructive. But then somebody else might approach you and be like, "Girl, sorry, I be going up for that show." You know,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
would be bullying because then you're aggressive towards that person who might be, more vulnerable and who might not have any backup, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do feel like she was bullied, but I feel like most of us didn't know that the statements that we were making and the comments would be considered as bullying.
I have a question. A lot of these
Yeah.
comments, were these on like the official pages for the pageants or like on her
Every
These
personal?
were everywhere. It was
every
everywhere.
Because
way.
the question I have is that if some of these comments were on like the official pageant pages, what were the moderators or the admins for the page doing? Were they allowing this? Because you have the ability, you have the power to say we're not going to tolerate this kind of language, and the
Well, I'm
omission.
not even gonna put hands in fire for people, but I know of
Mhm.
people who actually would share that kind of content on their platform for clout.
Yeah, Joel, you know why this all started? I think it started when, first of all, we didn't hear about Hendrika going up for the show at all. Okay, one night, we're all just scrolling through Facebook, and boom, like 12 pictures. It's like she had a photo shoot, and then she had the title, Miss International Elegant Mothers Pageant. And we, the public, were like,
When did this happen?
we were trying to figure out when did this happen.
Yeah.
And she just did not seem like she was prepared, based on, the quality
So a
of
huge part of the comments had to do was
with
trickling
her
back. People are like,
being.
what are you doing? Like,
Exactly. Do you have a chaperone? Is anybody
mhm.
sponsoring you? Why are you about to represent us, Dominica? Like, not prepared, not being prepared.
Yeah,
So it,
So that
because
it
like you
could
mentioned,
go.
the government didn't even know, like the Ministry of Tourism didn't know
at the
that she
time,
was going
nobody
up.
knew.
Nobody
Her
knew.
picture before
So what
her.
did it go from, like, the sentiment went from confusion to criticism to then outright bullying? It
So we
transitioned to
told her,
that.
her first set of pictures, like they did her so wrong. Her pictures were photoshopped. Her ears was cropped. Her lips were like it was just bad. And to us, like, who is trying to embarrass this girl? Like, you guys should have advised her better. That to me is bullying because you can see, like, we can see, like, you're not prepared, you're not
It's almost
ready.
like they were trying to make fun of her
Set
to
her up.
begin
Like,
with.
you can see she's not
Okay.
ready. You still go ahead. You do these bogus edits on her pictures. Then
Mm.
you go ahead, you post them on social media. I mean, come on. So that's where it all started with the first pictures that were published, and
Hmm.
Yeah,
then
that
it
sounds like a
became more.
setup.
Somebody saying that her attitude was horrible, so people reacted. So some folks were saying that she had a bad attitude. I'm personally not privy to that. That's just what someone
When did
on
she
the
have a
live
bad
is saying.
attitude?
Maybe she's being
I
defensive.
never saw that. I only saw an attitude last evening, I think, on her live, on the live that she was
She
on.
was
I
ready. She came
came
strong
prepared.
because at
Right,
that
right.
point, she had already gone through the coaching process, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
everybody saw what was happening on social media. So now she had a team behind her now at this point, and she was just
Mm-hmm.
advised, hey, you are not obligated to respond to any questions on this show. If they ask you X, you don't need to answer Y.
So
You can pass it. So Hendrika was like, this is private. I'm not responding. That's she was straight up. That's personal. She just wasn't having it. And you could tell that her approach to this to that was different. You could
Yeah.
tell that she was coached at this one, and somebody was actually advising her, hey, these people are coming for you. So go on that show and think use your head. You do not have to respond to everything. So she was very standoffish. Okay?
It
mm-hmm.
kind of comes across a bit defensive almost.
She
Very
did.
much.
She did. She
Very,
did.
very much.
She did, and I wanted to say kudos to her to some extent. Again, too, like if you're when you're in the limelight like this, you're gonna be asked questions,
Yeah.
especially questions pertaining to the pageant that you just participated in, and that you should be at liberty to provide people with the information from a media's perspective. However,
Mhm.
from your private life, you don't have to answer any damn questions.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
she
you
was
could
like, "This is private. That's
exactly.
personal. You don't need to know that."
She
Why
was
you
ready.
asking? Why
She
you
was
asking me that?
ready.
I was like, "Would you look at Hendrika attitude? You go, girl." Like,
So
yeah.
do you guys, I want to know from the view from the those on the live, did you guys think that she was being bullied or not? Like, do you think, in your opinion, because a lot of Dominicans are on this live and follow this channel, did you think, based on what you saw being put out there, a few news outlets carried her story, shared her story, a few people reposted and even commented and did their own reaction videos on her? Did you think that she was being bullied or not? Like, drop a B for bullied and for not. If you think it's either of, someone is saying, I believe a lot of people made fun of her and bullied her from all her past shows she has been in, so why she felt she did not need any help. So people are saying that. Someone is saying, I saw constructive criticism
And
going
bullying.
from people as well
True.
as bullying.
There was both of them. Yeah.
So somebody's saying that, somebody's saying somebody else is saying multiple people mentioned they reached out to her and her attitude was extremely bad. But I did recall that she came out saying that somebody was trying to use her name to
To
get
get
money,
money.
like they were using her name and collecting money, saying it's on her behalf, and she was not getting any of the funds. So I do recall. So I think at some point when, and then in addition to that, people were calling and laughing at her and
Yeah.
trying to make fun of her. Like I
I can see all those things collectively. She would have to have probably started to form a very thick skin very quickly. And that's why it probably comes across as her being standoffish, because that sounds like a lot happening at the same time. And you're not even getting a chance to enjoy this little
No.
piece of pageantry that she participated in. It's just a lot of ire.
Oh,
So,
girl, she
yeah.
enjoyed her show. If you looked at that show, she went all out. She put her bet. I looked at the show from start to end. I paid $30, and I was like, I need to look at this show. Let me look at. And I was like, she came out like she was eloquent. She spoke very well, and I'm gonna like me too. I kind of underestimated her because Hendrika could speak. Like she
Mm.
recited her introduction and her talent. She was good. She deserved her fourth place.
Well
Yeah.
done, Hendrika. Well done.
Very
Let's see
well
what
done.
the folks are saying.
Very well
What
done.
the followers, the viewers are saying. Somebody's commenting you. They're saying very good, Josephine.
That's sarcastic, girl. Please.
Yes, very, very good. We're moving ahead to other parts of the world. We got stories. We had lots of stories coming up, and we probably want to touch a little bit, go international, because especially if you watch a lot of TV like us, like we do. I think we consume a lot of TV even through social media. We
Yeah.
consume. I consume most of my TV through social media. Like I go on and I get them in snippets because I can't sit through a
Get the
whole TV
highlights.
show
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Attention
I get
span.
all the highlights, all the tea, and that's what I consume. Is that the same for you guys?
Of course,
For
I
some
don't have
shows,
time.
yeah.
I
No,
don't
some
have.
shows I have to watch from beginning to end. Others are like, I'll figure out what happened on Instagram. They'll
Yeah.
tell me.
So there's a little while back there was this situation
Yes.
with Derek Jackson, who is like a relationship guru that he referred to himself as, where he would come on in his vehicle and he'd give relationship tips to women. And he was married for to his high school sweetheart. I
Sweet.
use that word very loosely, for quite some time. And it appeared that a lot of stuff transpired. He came on with her. She was looking like a hot mess. Sorry to say, she was looking like a hot mess. I mean, we got to keep it 100. I'm not trying to bully her, but she was looking like a hot mess because the people he was cheating with her was popped up and she was popped down.
True.
And she came on, and she said, she gave her views, and she said she commented on their relationship and the fact that she was not being bullied, I guess, to be on air or anything. She was talking, they spoke about his cheating and all of that. They went to therapy, all of that. Fast forward,
Divorce.
they break up.
Surprise,
He
surprise.
moves on. um he moves on with someone else, and she just had a two-part interview with someone on a podcast. I think it's called My Future Wife Podcast or something like
Yeah.
that, it's called.
Yeah.
And where she kind of went in and exposed the ugly truth of, or her ugly truth, I should say, because there's the truth, and the real truth. Her ugly truth of their relationship. And she had a few things to say, including that she felt that he she had become this other woman, where she was literally tracking down these women that he was messing around with and trying to impersonate them, behave like them, act like them, dress like them, have sex like them, do all kinds of stuff like them. And I personally think that this was an extreme case. There was a lot going on. I saw cases of domestic violence. I saw a lot of shit that probably, people probably might say, oh, what they did was behind closed doors. But we're not getting into that story. What we really want to talk about is, what extremes do you think women would go to keep a man? What kind of extremes?
I think you just highlighted one of them. I think you
Ooh.
highlighted, and the thing is, I'll be honest. Like at first, the original situation irritated me because I saw that she seemed to be getting like a very defensive in the early. She was very defensive and acting as if people calling this out. There's something wrong with the rest of us. But in retrospect, and it was, I guess, compounded by what she said in her interview, I actually feel sorry for her and I empathize with her. And I think that considering his platform, she was not really in a position to come out and say anything, as well as, trying to uphold this whole, wifey and, trying to
I think
protect
that's
and
what
this that, and the other.
she
Yeah.
came as a
But
wife.
I think that is an extreme situation. I think that is one extent that women may go to keep someone. And she admitted that, and I think she's not the only one when she mentioned that she was monitoring and she was more familiar with other women's bodies than she was with
I
hers.
found that kind of like creepy.
That's
I,
Like,
I, I, no, I don't. I think that's actually sad, and I'm not saying it's sad. Like she's a sad person. It was heartbreaking to the point where that was her extreme in terms of, in her mind, she's desperately trying to not just like observe their bodies, but see and compare and see like what she could do. Like, okay, he's hooking up with these women, so clearly there's something about them. Maybe I can do something to hold him as well. A lot of women do that in various ways. They start waking up more, they probably start cooking more, they start doing things in the bedroom that they probably would not have done before, in an attempt to hold on to this person. So
So
I
tell us, Ricolia, what would you do? How far would you go?
I wouldn't I
I
wouldn't
love it.
I
How
wouldn't
far would you go to
I
keep
To
a
keep
man?
wouldn't
a man.
To keep a man? You.
no, I
So
wouldn't.
if you found
I
that he
wouldn't.
was cheating, what would you do? Just move on.
For me, it's a matter of, okay, to me, there's a difference between saying, all right, there's a problem in this relationship that we have agreed to work on and fix and repair and heal from, versus um, there's a problem in the relationship. He's reveling in it. He's owning it. He's rubbing it in my face. Yet I'm the
Right.
only one by myself, still desperately trying to hold on to something that he has no respect for. He has no respect for me. He has no respect for the relationship. There's a difference. So I am not going to stay in a relationship where, whether it's cheating, whether it's abuse, whether it's and abuse is verbal, emotional, physical, sexual sometimes as well, because we know that people take advantage of their partners in a relationship, thinking that, well, that's my partner, so I can do whatever I want. But
Right.
to me, I am not going to try to hold on to something when it's one-sided, when I'm the only one trying to hold on to it, and you're making no attempts to repair this or own what you did, and try to move on together. So I'm not going to do that.
Stellina, look at your face alone. I watching. I'm like, what would you do to
She's
keep
like,
her? I want to
mm.
ask you, what
No,
would you do?
honestly, the most I would do to keep a man. First of all, does this man want to be kept? Like
That's also that. I don't
I
believe
kept
in the notion
asking
of trying to
myself,
keep someone. Like, we're both here voluntarily. I'm not trying to
yeah,
hold you into anything.
do
If you
you want to
clearly
be
don't
kept?
want this, then bye.
And guess what? He might show you that he wants to be kept, but really, he might be manipulating you. Trying to make you
Mm.
feel like I want to be kept. I want this. I want this. I want this. Oh my god! But it's really your friend. So like men are so like you can't really tell if a man, but honestly, like I will send you a couple emails, like if I to me like, hey, I gonna be heartbroken. This is gonna hurt me, baby. What's up? I will send you a couple emails. I might run you down, I might call your phone a couple times.
Oh, let me tell you, the running down thing. Like,
I'm go-
listen,
I'm going to call your phone a couple times. Like,
You see,
what's up?
okay, I think there's a dance with that. Like, there's a little bit of chase here and there. That's
have you
fine.
ever done that? Have you done that? Recall it's like, have you
It's
called
the
a man like 70 times, 17 times in
no,
a row, like bam, 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 bam?
no,
I
no,
have. I
not doing that. Sorry, I don't have that energy.
I I have calls. I'm going to
Oh
call
wait,
you.
I've
once,
only called a
once.
man
I
this
just
much.
remembered.
I've only done it when I was trying to like find out, like, you're nervous about where the
Yes,
person
yes.
is.
I was
Like, let's
actually,
say
yes,
you go, the person went out, and normally the person checks in, and they
yes.
didn't check in, and you're like, oh my god, is something go wrong? So I'll call and call, but me run on a man.
No, beyond that, no, beyond that, I've done that when I've been worried, but I'll admit I did that once, but it was a toxic relationship and I didn't recognize it for what it was at the time. So when you are in a space where you don't realize like some of these
But
things are
isn't
not
that the same
right,
thing that was going on with Miss Jackson?
She was a socio
She,
no,
psychopath.
I would, no, I
he was in a,
wasn't.
She
this was a
was
toxic
she
relationship.
was doing
That
the
He,
was an
most.
extremely
No,
toxic relationship.
no.
And he was taking advantage, clearly. Like, it was an arrangement that worked on every side for him, because he not only got to eat us, he got the bakery. He was
And
the
guess
master
what?
baker in there.
That
I
can
know.
vary. Because in a case where, okay, let's say I find out you're cheating, no, I'm not calling your phone 70 times if you're cheating, if you're being ridiculous. But if, let's say, we have a misunderstanding within our relationship, and I'm like, okay, probably this can work out. Let's see what we could do. On that basis, yes. But on the basis where I find out that you're Derek Jackson, no, if
What if
you're
the D?
Yeah.
What if the D was so good? It's
then
like,
I'm calling your phone.
Fine. 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 Okay.
Yeah, I am
I am
going to call
calling you.
your phone. I am calling your phone. That's it.
You're like,
Yep. I'm
she's like,
sorry.
I'll call your phone 70 times because that
Right.
D was good.
Where
Because
you
okay.
What is
going? No,
happening?
come back.
Why are you going there? Bring it back.
Yeah.
I think some women though, like they try to hold on. It's more like the act in itself is horrible, yes. But I think for a lot of women, especially those who are married, like they're desperately trying to hold on, not just to the man, but the ideal and the idea of what their relationship is or what it
True.
was.
Or the
So
potential.
they're willing to turn a blind
Potential.
eye to that, or they're willing to see past it because they're holding on to that. Whereas the
Mhm.
rest of us like, yo, what are you doing? And internally they're like, no, but he was so good to me in the beginning, and he did this for me, and we can work it out and we can try and get it back to this place.
And
I
then
think that is why
potential.
some,
Potential.
yeah,
Oh, we could be, he could change, he could be
yeah,
this. I see
Mhm.
that
we're
in
scared of their children
you.
involved because as
Ugh,
much as
And
the
I was about to ask,
children really
sometimes those
complicate things.
relationships have children and then
Yeah.
you find it
And
very difficult.
in her case being as religious as she is, I could really understand why she want to maintain that perfect
yeah,
family in the eyes of God, and in spite of her husband doing everything opposite to what God would say is the right thing to do. So it's a
yeah,
And
lot
he
of just
used
like,
God as a stepney. Like he constantly would put all everything that he said, like God will deliver us, and I believe God will help us through. And I'm like, God wasn't seeing your penis when it was moving in different directions. Like he constantly
exactly.
like my
Like
brother, like
literally, you when you just went against everything that you have been teaching women, teaching you built your
and he
following.
made money on off of this. And women, I can't believe women actually paid this man for a
I
relationship, and
believe it. I believe
even
it. He
after
did.
the fact.
Oh,
I
you
believe
can't
it.
believe. Oh,
No, I could believe it. I could believe it because I feel like it's almost like it's very formulaic at this point. These people who claim to be like the epitome of godliness, the epitome of having the perfect this and all of that. Like I feel like it's in the formula at this point for them to be hiding these really terrible, wild secrets. Like they're doing all this wildness behind closed doors, and yet preaching X, Y, and Z to the public and making money off of it. Like we've seen
that's just
countless situations with pastors, flocking with their, and
there.
collecting money from the parish. It's it's almost formulaic at this point. So I am not surprised. I take these gurus with a grain of salt. Like anyone who's telling me how to manage my relationship, especially if you're not like like a couples therapist or something, you're just going based off of vibes and
Right, vibes. Gen Z.
vibes.
Vibes. Sprinkle,
Just enough of
sprinkle.
vibes,
Let me tell you, the
So
comments are given. Like I'm dying. Somebody said I used to call phone 50 times in the 1900s, not in this new millennium. And somebody's like, it's a new era. We're not calling men phone 1,000 times. And
what's happened them instead.
somebody says, all of sweet Makio in the sea, all them sweet Makio in the sea. Your people are a mess. The followers, the viewers, thank you
Oh
guys for
God.
commenting. You guys have me
Nah,
cracking
but
up.
Derek Jackson was wild for that. He was very wild for that.
Yeah.
Very wild for that. That's all I could say. Very wild. Like he needs to be off social media. Go do something else.
Go in a corner somewhere.
I think he should
What is
go
he
open
doing
a strip
now?
club.
Yeah,
I
open
have
a
no
strip
clue.
club. Do
I have
something.
no
Get
clue.
off.
He could be a good magic Mike, like he had a nice body and stuff. And he already had the
He
gigolo thing
should
going
he
on.
could he could start talking more about like sex and sex therapy and all that. Clearly he enjoys it, so like he could
Exactly.
transition into
Yeah,
that.
because one of the things that she said that he told her that he had over 100 women, like in a just very short time span.
Seems like he
And
has
I
a
was like,
problem as well. Sex
he
addiction is
could
a
have a
thing.
sex addiction. He could have had a
Okay.
sex addiction.
Could.
Speaking of like crazy, crazy people and crazy things that people do, we cannot not talk about Spice going viral, going in on Erica Mena. I mean,
How many
we
times
have
this
to.
woman go viral? I love it.
Oh
Spice,
God.
Spice went in on Erica Mena and
In.
found she went in on
In.
Erica Mena, and I mean, those of you who follow social media, you would have probably seen the video. We could share the video, but we ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
But those of you who actually saw the video, you saw she really let her have it. In terms of all she had to say. But what was most interesting to me was not necessarily the fact that Spice went in, because you expect this from Spice. If you
Right.
come at Spice, you
She's
won't
going to
get
come
fire.
through.
You won't get
Yeah.
fire. You come
At
for
the
Spice, you won't
airport.
get fire,
Anywhere.
right? And she was in the Delta airport, and she was like, she let her have it. What was really like like alarming to me was the platforms that were picking up the conversation about what was going on and not having a clue or an understanding of the patois that Spice was speaking, or even being able to have or keep a conversation about some of the things that she was addressing in her rant, right? And it was alarming to me because a lot of, because okay, we've seen all of these artists, these or Caribbean people, or we've seen Caribbean people kind of now on mainstream TV. So we're there, they open the door for us. We in it, right? They open the door, we in there.
We
And
Right.
inside.
more and more I'm feeling like we're in there, but they still don't understand our culture and don't understand different nuances and don't understand our dialect and don't understand that we have our own identity.
They
Even
refuse.
when they
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 refuse.
even
refuse.
when they come on and they speak about things that are pertaining to us, like having a full-fledged show sponsored where they're talking about what Spice is saying without ever discussing what Spice said. Right? Very little of what Spice said came up because they couldn't understand part one. Something simple as just having someone on the show who could understand patois. I mean, there's so much Jamaicans in LA,
I
and
was about to say that like Jamaicans are everywhere. Like out of all the islands, like Jamaica, like people globally are the most familiar with Jamaicans more than any other Caribbean
before
territory. So
you're
you know, say
black,
like
you from
nobody,
Jamaica.
so
Before you're
nobody
black
can
and you say you're
ask.
from the islands, you're from
Nobody
Jamaica,
knew a
right?
patois. Nobody knew anything. They can ask a
Apparently
friend,
nobody
phone a
did.
friend.
And
Okay.
and a lot of the people who are picking it up, we don't want to call names because we're not trying to like, but a lot of the big media houses that were picking it up, they were actually admitting to not knowing, understanding what she was saying, but still talking about the fact that she'd gone in on Erica Mena. Now my issue has nothing to do with what Spice said, or the fact that she went in, and the fact that she had a few things to say about even the beef between Erica Mena and Spice and all the other folks that have to do with it. I could care less about this, right? I think they've gotten their full-fledged airtime. What I'm concerned about more is how our culture as Caribbean people is being, should I say, being put out there. And we could even go back. I don't know if you guys followed like Chance the Rapper when he was in Jamaica for Carnival. He was dancing with a girl, and that same media house picked up the story and was like, and the narrative was like, he's a married man and he's grinding on a woman. How would you feel if your husband was? And I'm like, dude, like it's not that serious. Like I've seen a lot of married people dance grind upon a lot of married people, unmarried people, and you don't even like. I mean, there are instances where people actually something comes out of it, but majority of the time, it's just a wine.
It
Like
is.
it really
It
It's not
is
that
is.
just a
serious.
wine.
It's literally
Not that
just a
serious.
wine.
But
No
North
matter.
Americans have made it seem like it's something else, or even like look at case in point, Little Mermaid just dropping, and we have Haley Berry,
Halle.
Haley Bailey, Halle
Halle.
Bailey, playing the Little Mermaid. Wow, we're happy. But then they put a fake
Jamaican
Jamaican speaking
accent.
crab to be Sebastian. Like you not that's not how Jamaicans speak. Like I'm not even Jamaican, and I
Oh
could
my
tell you I could
God.
have put on a Jamaican accent. So what are you guys' thoughts on how our culture as Caribbean people is kind of being appropriated?
I think we need to be more respected. I think we need to be more respected. Like that media house that we're not going to mention. Clearly, like if you follow his feed, his podcast, his videos, he feeds off of most times
Canal. Yeah.
misinformation most times misinformation, gossip most times, and it's like, where are you really going with this? Like, are you trying to nip this story at the bud? Are you trying to let us know? Are you
No,
trying to
he's
pull
not.
us on? Or are you just trying to, like what we say, local terms, chuk pupu? Like, what is it you're doing? Like,
I
I
think
just,
you actually hit the nail on the head. I think
yeah, he's
because
just,
he tends to actually get more mainstream attention because, of course, he's well known in the uh, more urban communities. But I think he tends to get more mainstream attention when he's called out on his ish, when he's called
true,
out for the misinformation, a
True.
case in point when he claimed that he was one of the first insiders when Queen Elizabeth died. Like he's one of the first to know and reported it. Really? You? Who in Buckingham Palace is calling you to let you know of all places, of all people, that the Queen died? And that was also another misinformation as well, because he I think he ran with that story before she actually passed, and that was a huge thing. That was international story, but it gives him more clicks. It puts him in front of a
But do
wider
you think he
audience,
is the
but it's
only
on
problem?
misinformation.
Do you think he's the
No.
only problem though? Because I find like, especially with a lot of stuff, I mean, like, people might say this is just another ism that we're going after, right?
Mhm.
But if I mean, as Black Caribbean people, I mean, we come in all different shapes, shades, hues in the Caribbean. But as Caribbean people, I find a lot of times we're not given respect for our work. We're not, and we walk through. The funny thing is that we walk through life not giving a shit about none of these things, like racism, and like we literally like checking our scene, minding our
We
business,
we
drinking our bushi.
unbothered. We
We're
not bothered.
unbothered, right?
Like we
Yet,
going about life.
you have in 2023, uh, uh, I could call it a singing crab that is not even singing. Like
Hey,
you pretending to be
put some
Jamaican, but you're
respect
not.
on Sebastian, please. Like,
But the crab was not even sounding like a Jamaican, and
no.
the
That's the
crab's
thing. Like
supposed to be a Jamaican.
that is a pet peeve of mine, because you're right. Like we are like in our own space, and to me, it's like it's a lot of hypocrisy, because you have, especially the Black community, like the Black international community, that are fighting on their own, and talking a lot about how we are all diverse. Not all of us are from the ghetto. Not all of us are criminals. Not all of us is this. Yes, all we can accomplish all these different things. Essentially, trying to highlight that as Black people, we are nuanced and diverse, and we can accomplish all these different things. Yet they don't apply that to the same Black people in the Caribbean. Like, they broad brush us as well. They argue on our behalf for things that they know nothing about, have no context about, and very obviously don't care to learn about. Um, so in
Like
my opinion,
the man was saying chance dancing to dance hall, and I'm like, bro, dance hall in
have
Well,
Carnival.
you
actually,
have you ever known about, like, have you known what carnival is? Like, have you met us? Like,
we
where are
slowly.
you? Where
But
are you?
whose side was he taking? Was he taking Spice's side, or was he taking?
He
Because
was
I
he
think
was
he had
he doesn't
some
like
beef.
Erica Mena. He does not like Erica Mena, so
No,
he was
because I
riding.
think he was saying Erica Mena doesn't like him, and when she got pregnant, somebody told him that she was pregnant and sent him her pictures, and he licked her pictures, and oh, she was livid. I'm like, bro, go take a seat somewhere. Like, so he basically said he got her pictures of her pregnancy before anyone else did.
Okay,
He again, he's trying to
okay.
put himself like he has all the tea before
He's in
everybody
things
else.
and he has nothing.
But he's saying this, and even when he talks about the music, like, dude, like, do you know that this is not dancehall music, right? Like, do you know that
But
this is soca music?
he is considered to be like a joke, generally a joke in terms of entertainment, and being a gossip blog. Like, he's not really taken seriously. um I think it's a platform for people who still want to be put out, like if the interviews that he gives and this out that he gets and that sort of thing. Yes, if, let's say, you are a reality star and you're trying to maintain relevance, yeah, I'll give you an exclusive interview if you wanted. But he's not sitting down with Beyonce. He's
No,
not
he's
sitting down
not.
with like A-list celebrities and all of that. You could tell that he is a someone that grasps at things to maintain relevance, yet seem as if he is at the top of his game, or at the top of the entertainment blogging spectrum, and he's not. And it's kind of sad how obvious it is.
Very obvious.
It's very obvious. So, and for you to admit that you're essentially highlighting a story that you, as a journalist, as an entertainment journalist, that you're claiming to be a serious one at that, you as an entertainment journalist didn't even do your due diligence and
To know that
ensure to
this,
know what this woman is saying. Even if you don't understand patois, again, you can't just hire someone, like hire someone somewhere and be like, hey, you can
listen,
ask your Jamaican
they could have
grandmother
made a
to
whole
interpret this
video.
for me.
They could have made a whole video translating her video.
And guess
Like,
what? Her
You could have
rant
asked
was not
anyone.
her rant was not even that long. I think it was only like 10 to 12
10
minutes.
minutes.
12
Mm-hmm.
minutes long. Like you could
You could
play
tell
like
it was
two
obvious
clips,
that he took certain
pause.
sound bites out and ran with that. You could
No,
tell. You could tell.
no.
And that's what I'm saying.
And like
Like,
he ran with the fact that she was talking about, like when she talked about the giving the same energy to the three children rather than the two. And I mean, that was very obvious what she was saying. If you didn't need to understand patois to know what she was saying when she was saying that.
Exactly.
And I just I would and it wasn't just him. Like he had two other people. Like I there are times when he's on his show by himself, but in that instance, he had two other people. Like you think you could not have gotten another co-host that could at least tell
You
you a
know
little
what? I
something
think
about.
we should start a petition that these journalists, when you guys are ready to go out for us,
We're not talking about Caribbean people. Come and look for
not
us.
Caribbean
We out
people,
here.
Caribbeans, because they call us Caribbeans.
Caribbean. Ew.
When you're ready to interview us Caribbeans, please have a translator.
Yo, I had a
I
conversation with
feel like
somebody like, you guys are from the Caribbean. Does that mean you're Caribbeans? I'm like, no, we're West Indians. They're like, but what does that? Why do you guys? Why are you West Indians when you're from the Caribbean? And I'm like, I had to go back to Christopher Columbus days. I had to
No,
go in
I'm not going back
1492 when
nowhere.
Christopher Columbus.
No, I'm
I
not
feel
going
like
back
I
nowhere.
feel like this whole Caribbean culture and like how it's lauded in international waters. It kind of feels like I think people still debate like how they're like white Americans who say, oh yeah, I'm not racist. I have that one black friend, and they know nothing about it. But like that's like their way of legitimizing that they're not racist because they have that one black friend that they probably had lunch with once or twice, but they know
They
nothing
probably eat
about.
somebody. They probably eat oxtail. Oh, I've had
Oh,
oxtail.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I waved a flag, at the carnival. Like
And the carnival.
the carnival. I feel like that's their way of thinking, like they're parts of it,
I know
without
what is a beef
really
patty.
understanding,
right.
without really understanding what the culture is about. I think I mentioned this the other day to you, Jael. Like I'll never forget, there was this big drama in Canada soon after Caribana a couple of years ago. And Caribana has been around for literal decades. Like it's not a new
Yes.
event in Toronto. Yet in this new wave of social justice, and I just want to put a disclaimer out there, social justice is very important right now. It has a very critical role to play. I'm not knocking it. But right now, I feel as if we're in a space where everything is a problem. And I'm of the firm belief that if everything is a problem, then nothing is a problem because it doesn't give proper nuance to certain things. And then people tend to tune out and ignore the things that are real issues. But
True.
anyways, around that time, there was like this big to do soon after Toronto Carnival because people were claiming that the masqueraders were culturally appropriating
Native
native
Indian.
culture because of the headdresses for the carnival costumes. And this was also around the same time that a lot of stories of missing
Well,
native
coming
people
out.
were coming out and surfacing, and a lot of talks about cover-ups as well, and certain attacks on the native community. So I could understand from that perspective where maybe it was sort of connected, but at the same time, any small Google search, anywhere would highlight that this has nothing to do with the native community. This was a specific Caribbean cultural event, and there are countless, like it has nothing to do with appropriating,
And
like.
our event is feathers and boom boom.
And
Exactly.
we also have a native community as well. We have an Amerindian.
A very strong
In
native.
Trinidad we call them the First Peoples. To
Hmm.
be politically correct, we have a community of First People, and they have within that culture as well. They have their own history and culture and contextual
I feel
everything
like
that has
that might
nothing
be
to
the
do with
Kalinago
that.
for us, right, Jael?
What happened?
That might be the Kalinagos for us, right?
It is the Kalinago for us, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that like we're in a space where we're all being broad brushed and the context for who we are as a collective as well as broken down across the different Caribbean territories is being erased completely. And we're being swept up in, all this other ire that's happening in America and in Canada and the UK and around the world and all of that. And and because of that, people are literally ignoring who we are as a
Us.
people. Us
Well,
as
they look at us as we, the people in the people across the Atlantic look at us as the watered down black people, and the people
yeah.
in the north look at us as the with the flavored, with the ones with the extra seasoning, with the
The
flavored people, right? So that's how they look at us, and
sprinkle,
that's the
sprinkle.
reality. That's the reality of how we are kind of. I mean, yes, we kind of want everybody want their place, so we want our place too. Give us our place
Exactly.
too.
That's it.
Everybody
I
Absolutely.
wants
think if
our
we're gonna be
place.
in these conversations, at least get it right. Get it
Exactly.
right. If you're gonna bring
Exactly.
us into this conversation,
Especially if you're a journalist.
Exactly.
that's
I
the
think
least
we
you
need
can do.
more of us on, or hear more of us in mainstream media. So it's not just Spice, on Love and Hip Hop, but there are other different avenues. We wanna hear more of us. We know we have Rihanna, who does not let go of her Bajan accent. We have people
Love it
like
for that.
her, who kind of not
It
just
opened the door.
exactly for a lot of us Caribbean people, and there needs to be more of like her, like in mainstream media, whether it is performing, whether it is musicians, whether
Whatever
it is
it is. As long as
whatever
it's
it is.
mainstream.
We need to see more of us so that we can actually have a discussion and be brought to the table to discuss things that are related specifically to our identity, because our identity does not necessarily align with your identities out there. We're just putting that out there. Like, it does not necessarily align. No, we may be black. We're black people. We probably, you might want to say we all are descendants of slaves. You might want to say all of these things about us. But one thing about us, we're very hard-headed.
Very.
We are very goal oriented.
Mhm.
We're literally raised to go to school to become doctors and lawyers. That's what we're raised to do, right? We're literally raised to be great. And so we walk through
The
life
bar is high
feeling
for us.
feeling
Very
entitled,
high.
like we own this bitch. And
Exactly.
as a result, we're misunderstood. But we're not really watered down. We just have a lot of spice in us, like
And
Spice
we're
rightfully said.
misunderstood.
And we're
That's it.
completely misunderstood. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I just want to go to the chat to see what some folks were saying. So someone is saying that um someone saying when you say you're from Jamaica, anytime you say you're from the islands, you say you're from Jamaica. And that has happened to me. I've had people say,
That
people,
happened.
I'm from Dominica. They're like, is that a part in Jamaica? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yes, it is. It's
I've been
actually
asked. I've been
the
to asked that
capital.
already,
It's
but
the
someone's asked
capital of
me if
Jamaica.
Trinidad is a city in Jamaica. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's the capital.
Yes, Jamaica is the
Wow.
capital of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Guys, we hope you guys enjoyed this week's show. We hope to be back to bring you more. Guys, thank you very much for coming on with me. I hope
You're
you
Of
guys enjoyed.
course.
welcome. You're
Let me
very,
know
very,
when you want me
very
back.
welcome.
I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to go
She's like, I'm ready to go again. We're ready to have this again. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We want to encourage you, if you want to be a guest co-host, you can send me an email. You know how to find me. You can get me on WhatsApp if you want to be a guest co-host. If you also have hot topics that you come across that you think
Feel
you want to hear
free to
us
share.
talk about it, banter about it a little bit. Link us up and let us know. Hey, why
again. Let
why
us
don't you guys
talk.
talk about this? Let's talk about it. Let's give our little 2 cents. Let's give you a little 2 cents. Right? Thank you so very much. Thank you, Recordia. Thank you, Stellina Blue,
Thank you,
for joining here.
Jen.
And I
You
hope you guys
guys.
can join us next week. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
A little music. You're silly, eh? The music is banging. What can I say? That's good. Ah.
Well, I like that music.
It's about.
Okay.
That was.
You want
Oh,
the piano?
guys, it was great. I enjoyed
Yes.
it.
Take care, guys.
See you
Until
guys.
next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.